Lauren with the Evelo Team at Keller Williams Realty, and today I'm super excited to have three of our awesome, amazing agents on the team who are going to help us today talk about buying a home, right? First time buying a home, first time home buyers, hopefully by the end of this little 15-minute session that we will get all of your questions answered. So let's start with just introductions. Can you guys just introduce yourself? Cole?
I'm Cole Heberling. I've been the Evelo team for 8 months now.
Awesome. And Jenny?
I am Jenny, and I am a Realtor partner on the team, and I have been on the team since the end of 2016.
Awesome. And Lori?
Hi, I'm Lori, and I am a Realtor partner and have been on the team since May of 2018.
Fantastic. And each of these individuals come from amazing backgrounds, and so that's why I've asked each of them to come on here and just share a little bit so that we can help anyone who is thinking about buying a home right now. So let's start off. If someone is thinking about buying a home, what is the first step that they should take?
Yeah, so the first step that they should take is to definitely partner with somebody, preferably on our team. We are definitely in the trenches and all the know on our team. We're talking with lenders every day. Our office is really proactive. Our team is really proactive. So definitely talking with an agent on our team if you have any interest at all. And then we can connect you with a trusted lender. A lender choice is really important as well. So we can kind of help start you in that process. And we'll just kind of talk you through the home buying process where we can set up a consultation. I have been doing them virtually for now, where I can share my screen with you and my typical information that I would go through in person, I can do electronically as well. So we can do the first-time home buyers presentation with you on the virtually, and that's super easy to do. And then what we'll do then next is just kind of get an idea of what you're looking for and then set you up on a search and maybe kind of start looking for some off-market opportunities for you.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I think you bring out an important point that yes, we are open, right? The Evelo team is open. We are doing business. It looks very different than it did 4 weeks ago, but we are open and we are doing business. Everything's just being done virtually right now. So thanks for sharing that, Jenny. So why would you use a real estate agent versus just contacting the listing agent on each house?
Well, it's really important to have your own representation. So rather than perhaps just calling from the sign where you'll get the listing agent and they'll be sharing information about that specific home, having your own buyer, they'll be able to gather more information. They'll be able to do some strategic comp reports for you and likely be able to get you even more detailed information. But again, most importantly, going back to what Jenny had said, you know, just having that background and that relationship that you're building with your realtor, they're going to know you best and they're going to be able to represent you best and be able to get you a fair, you know, price on the home that you're looking for and get the terms that you need.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Lori. So once you have your buyer's consultation, what steps, what do the steps look like to get pre-approved, and why would a pre-approval be important?
Well, definitely in today's market, pre-approval is extremely important. But just the steps to even get started, like Jenny said, we've got our lenders who we prefer, who are awesome to work with, who we can trust, you know, to get things done. And if they say yes, then we know it's a yes for sure.
Right.
That the first thing is, like, we'll send you their information. Just have a conversation with Phil. Phil Lilgy is our guy that we work with a lot. But have a conversation with him. Just based on that conversation, as long as everything sounds okay, he'll send you an application you can fill out online just to get some more information to get you a pre-approval. And from there, it's helpful for a couple reasons. Number one, it gets you a definite budget that you can work in and be confident that that's not stretching you too thin. So it gives you kind of some sense as you are doing some home searching. And then number two, it just makes your offer stronger. Today's market's going to be extremely competitive, especially at different price points. You may run into multiple offer situations. So whatever you can do to make your offer the strongest is always a benefit. So if all things the same, if one person has a pre-approval and the other person doesn't, they're going to take the pre-approval 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, and I think just relating back to the COVID experience right now, I think it's important, right? Because pre-approvals, most of the homes, they won't even let you consider entering the home or taking a look, even if you wanted to see inside, unless you have the pre-approval.
Yeah.
They're almost requiring it these days. Yeah. So once somebody's pre-approved, what does the search process look like? What does that look like? Any ideas there, Jenny? Sorry, I know you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
There we go.
Yeah, so once you are pre-approved, that's when we can kind of begin the search process, and we can kind of get online together and look for houses for you. I know the platform that we use. I know I tell my clients there's a little heart button and they can start favoriting properties, and that way I can look and see, okay, this is kind of what they're looking for, or these are homes they like, even if right that second is not the right time. It helps me also have a good idea of off-market opportunities to be looking for. With inventory that's, is so low, it's really important that you have, all these steps with an agent ahead of time, or else you're just going to be spinning your wheels, losing out on houses the second they go on the market. So that's what we'll kind of do, is we'll set you up on what's called just a home search, and based off your preferences, like your price point, your area, number of bedrooms, things like that. And we usually start it a little broad so that you can really get a look of what's out there, and then kind of narrow it down as we get closer to the time frame. But yeah, we'll get out, and I know our first trip, especially with first-time home buyers, we'll get out and we'll look at a good amount of houses. We do that because sometimes, you think you know what you would like, and then once you're actually in a home and what you thought you would want, your mind might change. So definitely we set up and a good amount that first time we kind of get out to see what it is that you are definitely looking for and your wants and needs for your home.
Awesome. Thanks, Jenny. And what about open houses? So what happens if you see an open house, or if you go through an open house or something? What about that scenario?
So, yeah, when you go to an open house, there's going to be an agent. Obviously, it's going to be holding that open. Lori mentioned it earlier. That's going to be the listing agent for the house. And so, we've been working together, and we know your wants and your needs. And so they're not kind of aware of all of that. So it is important, if they ask, share our information, because we can follow up with them, especially if you are interested, and get some more information for you. But then it is important that, you communicate with us what you did like, what you didn't like. And then, if you are interested in going to see it again, maybe we can kind of point out some things that maybe you missed the first time, and make sure you're getting a full look at the house, and seeing it in the light of, here's what you told me is important. Let's make sure it has all those things before, we make this decision.
Right. So, sometimes emotions carry us, right? through an open house, sometimes emotions step in. So take me through the offer. What are things that we need to know or consider in making an offer?
So once you've settled on the dream home that you like and you're interested in submitting an offer, then you and your realtor will sit down and sort of strategize what the offer is going to look like. So that will depend on a lot of different things. For example, every home has different scenarios. If it's a home that perhaps has some multiple offers, then you're going to need to strategize your price and terms a little differently than if it's one that perhaps doesn't. So once you're able to figure out the price that you want to place in your offer, there's also an earnest money, which is sort of like a good faith estimate, a deposit, so to speak, as to what you're going to put on that home. And that's generally like 1% to 2%. That you'll put down, and that will show up as a credit on your settlement statement, so it doesn't go away. And then you'll also discuss, other things that will be included in the offer, such as, when is your closing date going to be? Generally, it's 30 to 45 days. So that's kind of a start to finish. You'll put in deadlines for your inspections. You're going to put in, various other items, such as like if there's seller concessions that you'd like to include, where the seller maybe pays a portion of your closing cost, or maybe you're asking the seller to pay, for a home warranty for the home, and then of course possession. So there's a lot of different things that are included. So, once all of that is complete, and let's say the seller does hopefully accept that, then you're going to start your deadline. So once you're under contract, then the home is now pending, and then of course you're going to need to start your deadlines and submit your earnest money. So that will be the first deadline, and then the other deadlines will follow thereafter. So you're going to have maybe like an HOA deadline if it is a neighborhood that has an HOA. So the seller will need to provide you with covenants and conditions and restrictions so that you can determine, if there's anything that you want to have done outside the home or around the home, that perhaps they're restricted, and that's something you need to know. For example, maybe if you're interested in maybe building a pool in the future, or placing a mini barn or a fence or something, those are items you'll want to know. You're also going to have an inspection deadline, and that's generally about 15 days into the contract. You'll want to make sure you'll have all that inspection completed and have, any response items to the seller within that 15 days. And generally, your inspector is going to want to have you there so that you can kind of see if there's any issues, anything that you want to uncover, or just make sure you're aware of with the home that you're purchasing. Once that's completed behind the scenes, your mortgage lender, of course, is going to be ordering the appraisal. And that, of course, is going to tell us if the home is going to appraise for what you're financing it for. If there's any issues with that, then, of course, that's another negotiating point, and you have to discuss that with your realtor and the other agent to try to figure out, how that's going to pan out. So once it's all complete, then you'll be going through the motion of getting some of the items, finished up with your financing, and you'll get it clear to close, and then we'll all be at the closing table. And that kind of wraps it up.
Well, I don't know about anyone else listening, but that sounds like a lot to take
Yes.
on and under, right? Which then, if someone's wondering why they should hire a realtor to help represent them through the transaction, because it sounds to me like there are a lot of different pieces and parts and moving pieces and parts that all have to come together so that everybody ends up at the closing table on the right time, right? At the right time and time appropriate. So yeah, lots of legalities, lots of deadlines, and we're not practicing law, right? But we're following the Realtor purchase agreement, the Indiana State Realtor purchase agreement. So fantastic. Thanks, Laura, because that's a lot of information, but I think it just goes to show that there's a lot of pieces and parts of why someone would want to have someone helping through that process and making sure that they're hitting all the deadlines and that they are knowing what needs to be in to represent them in their best interest, right? Mm-hmm. So that they're not getting taken advantage of, right? So why is now a good time to buy, or is now a good time to buy?
Yeah, so I actually just personally bought and sold my own home when all of this COVID stuff started. So I've had people say, to me, well, is now really a good time? Like, are you sure? And this is speaking from a realtor who's actually done it. It's definitely doable. And if anything, a lot of us who have done it, even if we haven't done it on the team, we all know the ways to navigate it through now. We're kind of like COVID pros now on the team at this point. So
and you did it, not only did you just make a move, but you did it with how many children?
Yeah, so I have a almost 5-month-old, a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, a dog, and a husband that works 2 full-time jobs.
Right. So you just made the move with all of that going on in your life, right? And so if you can do it, anyone can do it.
Felt like it was a good time. And, ideally a lot of that, personally, that I think that can transit into any buyer is that right now I wanted to avoid as much as I could the multiple offer scenario. Mm-hmm. I think right now with prices, being on the higher end of the market, your likelihood of getting into, a 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on the price point, offer is a little bit less. Now, is it guaranteed not to happen? No. But the likelihood is definitely less. And I also think the people who are selling right now need to sell. They're a lot more motivated. So a lot of people around this time are moving for jobs, or they're wanting to use the summer to get settled as a family and things like that. So the people usually who are selling right now are not the people who are kind of toying with the idea. The likelihood also is that that seller probably has an offer accepted on another home. So their motivation to sell is going to be high. So as we represent you as your buyer's agent, we find out those pieces of information, we can definitely use those as negotiating points for you. Also in Indiana, it's definitely cheaper to buy than to rent. I've been a homeowner for a little over 10 years, and some of my friends who are still renting, my jaw literally drops to the floor when I find out how much they are paying. And then all this time that they've built up no equity. So that was a huge point. There's never a perfect time to start building up equity, but definitely that's the smart move to make. Is a home is an investment. It's a huge investment. It's probably the biggest investment you'll ever make. So that's really important, and that's a huge advantage to buying right now, because you can start building that equity. So yeah, I mean I think that those are all pretty good reasons. And then, once we find out, your exact scenario, we could definitely evaluate if it is a good time or not. Because I do really feel on this team, like we are all very genuine in our consultations, and we are not going to push you towards anything that's not a good idea, because it's not in our best interest in the long-term longevity of this business and creating raving fans. So definitely, you never know until you have those conversations. So just setting up that consultation with one of us is just so important right now, if you're even thinking about it at all.
And I think a couple other things of why now, right, would be the interest rates, right? The
Right.
interest rates right now are historical lows.
Correct.
So it's not a sales gimmick in any way, shape, or form. If you look at the interest rates in historical ever in the history of our country, right, the interest rates are the lowest you've ever seen them. They've ever been. So yeah, it provides you more buying power, right? As a first-time buyer, it provides you more home for less money. Also, sorry, just to step back. So you mentioned about even right now in this COVID and all, you're seeing or experiencing multiple offers representing your buyers?
Yeah, I have. I've penned it a couple since everything started, and I mean, still the average day on market and certain price points. I mean, yesterday we were on a team call, and like a balanced market is showing about 5 to 6 months worth of inventory, and right now we're at about 1.4. So yeah, I mean, it's tricky, and I think that's to another advantage with us and working with on our team, is because we know these things, we know how to advocate for them, and then we're a large team, so finding those off market opportunities for our clients. But yeah.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to make sure that you shared with the listeners, because I think what they don't realize is thinking, oh gosh, real estate must have gone to a halt during this COVID time, and it actually has not. And we're still seeing and experiencing the multiple offers. And I think that that's where it's really important too, to find an experienced agent and someone to help represent you in your best interest, to make sure that they're writing the contract, right, in a way that they will come out ahead and as the winner in the multiple offer situation. So, there's little tips and tricks, and obviously with our 25 plus years of experience on the team, right, that gives the buyer that advantage to get their offer, up to the top of the list. So, well, thank you. Well, anything else? Any other parting words or any other words of wisdom that you'd like to share before we end here? Any closing thoughts? Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being here, you three. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience, and we appreciate that. And I know that you all do your best to provide the highest level of service and keeping our clients' best interests at heart. So that's why I really appreciated you being on here and sharing that with everyone. Also want to say that if anybody has a question, anyone there in the public listening has a question, that they can type it here, or they can private message or email to our team, info@eveloteam.com. That's info@eveloteam.com, and we'll leave that here in the post and the remarks. But or they can also obviously call us anytime, right? So we appreciate your time, and we're just gonna I'll hope that if someone is remotely thinking about buying anytime in the next 6 months, 12, or year, they should probably do it now, because we know right now the interest rates are the lowest we've ever seen them. So just want to encourage everyone to go out there and make that happen, right, if they're even remotely thinking about it. Well, thanks so much, guys, again. And remember, as always, make each moment count. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.